Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives. I say good morning, but good afternoon or good evening if you're anywhere else in the world. I'm Melanie Perry.
And I'm Julie Hyde-Mew.
And together we are Creatives, the professional network for creative professionals everywhere. Together we help you grow, connect, and develop your creative business. But this is On the Couch. So Julie, who do we have on the couch this morning?
Well, joining us today is a private member of Creatives, Sean Anthony, who is a voiceover artist based here in the UK. He began his creative career as a website designer and a social media graphic designer for a construction company in London. And then a few years ago, something happened and he totally changed the direction of his creative career. So let's get him on the couch and find out all about it. Hi, Sean. Welcome to On the Couch.
Hello, guys. How are you doing? Lovely to be here.
Lovely to see you. Well, Sean began his career, or his creative career, as a website and social media graphic designer for a construction company in London. And then a few years ago, something changed in his life and he changed his career direction completely. So let's get you to tell us exactly how you went from being a graphic designer to becoming one of the top voiceover artists in the UK.
That's very kind of you. So basically in 2016, I was working at the construction company, and at that time, my fiance and I found a venue for our wedding, which was about a year later, which I thought was a fantastic time frame. And then that evening we got home and I realized that I need to talk in front of a whole room of people. And being the shy person that I am, it may not come across as shy as I used to be. But that evening I just started panicking because I couldn't even dream about talking in front of 10 people, let alone 100. And so I started practicing audio recordings, recording stories on YouTube, practicing just talking out loud, reading the paper, reading to my kids in whatever characters that I could think of at the time, and just getting more confident in my speaking. And then one thing led to another and it started to snowball, and I picked up one job and then another, and then about 18 months later, it was a choice of either I have to do voiceover full time or stop it completely. And I thought, you know what, let's just go whole hog into this thing. And and I've been doing voiceover ever since.
So it basically started as a side hustle, and then you eased your way out of your paying job and went on your own.
Exactly, yes.
I think that's the best way to start, isn't it? If you're going to start a new venture, a new business, if you're in gainful employment, build it up while you've got a paycheck. It's much easier to transition if you do it that way.
Exactly, yes. I mean, at least it's kind of like having a safety net then. You can build up clients, you can build up your experience, and use it kind of like a or apprenticeship really, and just learn how you do your trade properly before you can actually take the safety net away. And it's still scary, but it's less scary.
Well, you seem to have a very professional setup there. You have your own soundproofed studio in your home, I assume. Is that correct?
Yes. This is in my studio at home. I've got my office just outside of the door here, and my kids call this my screaming room. But it's not always been this snazzy. I started out with literally having pillows around my head and a webcam microphone just to record myself. But slowly but surely it's sort of built up along the way, and I think I've had this for about nearly 3 years. So, and hopefully it stays a lot longer.
Why do you think we touched on it about how you got into voiceover work? Why do you think it is that people have such an almost morbid fear of public speaking?
I think it's in my case, it was it's kind of like opening up. really. Opening yourself up for judgment and being in front of, well, just knowing you've got that many ears on you, and even the slightest mistake in your head is just going to be blown up because everybody's going to be able to hear it. And it's one of those things that when you think about it logically, I mean, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, I don't know, it's, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fumbles lines every now and then. You can retake, you can just rewind a little bit and take that whole sentence again, and nobody's going to bother. But even when you've heard people do it, it doesn't really bother you that much. But when you're putting that pressure on yourself, I think you just want it perfect. And when it doesn't come up as perfect, or in your mind, you can then start snowballing again, or spiraling about what can go wrong. And then if you lose your place, you could corpse as well while you're up there, and you could just, everything's gone and you can't speak at all. And then you're standing in front of a whole room of people just going, sorry, everyone.
There's a huge difference between being a voiceover artist, which you can do take after take, and standing up on the stage in front of a room full of people. I used to read the news on television and on radio in South Africa, and people would say, you sound so calm and you're talking to millions of people. And I would say, no, I'm only ever talking to one person. I'm looking at the camera, and I always imagined my mother behind the camera, and I always spoke to my mother and told her the news. But put me, even today, on a stage in front of 100, 200 people with all eyes on me, and I just melt. I start shivering and shaking, can't cope. How do you get that balance right?
I mean, what you said about having your mother on the other side of the camera, that's something that I grew to learn through my education of doing voiceover, and just my own experience as well, is when you've got a project, if you can, instead of trying to cast your net as far as you can over as many ears as possible, just imagine that one person that you think this project is for, and then put their ear where your microphone is, and then it becomes a bit more personal. And it just makes it a little bit easier to either explain or for the character to come out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause it's more intimate, isn't it? If you can do that, make it a little bit more intimate, your intonation and your emotions will come out better if you're intimate than if you're trying to.
Yeah. And it helps you address the mic better as well, because if you think of it as someone's ear, you're not going to hug up and then shout as loud as you can, because you know that's going to hurt the person. So you've got to be a bit more dynamic in your voice as well. I hope
there is such a thing as microphone shock.
And then you cap out and everything is blown out, and then you have to do the whole take again. And yeah, but whereas, when you're in a room full of people, I've found it quite helpful recently when I have been presenting or when talking in front of a crowd, to actually go down and start talking to people beforehand. Even if there is only a handful of people that you've actually spoken to, at least you've got a pair of eyes that you can connect to when you're up there speaking. So again, even though there are 100 people there, you're only picking out 5 people that you were talking to and talking to them directly. So it's then just an extension of your group's conversation, as it were.
And then you feel more yourself. You feel as though you're connecting to them on a personal level, as opposed to this huge big creature with 1,000 eyes.
Yes, yeah. And that was one of the things that, well, it dropped as I was doing my groom speech. I realized that it was literally, I was talking to my nan, my uncle, my uncle-in-law, and a couple of friends, and it was just pointing to those 5 people over and over again over those 3 minutes, and it just didn't feel nearly as scary. But then obviously you do something like you lose your place or something like that on your cards, and then that's where the Zoom comes out and you're like, oh no, there are a lot more people here. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I like what you said when you were practicing recording yourself and just talking out loud. And it's funny because for me to process my thoughts, this is why I found lockdown very, very difficult, because I don't think in my head, I think verbally. So when I'm going through things in my mind, I'm talking to myself. And some people might think that's absolutely insane, but I will wander around the house quite happily, blah, 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 have a full-on conversation with myself, and I'm quite happy, thank you very much. And that's how I kind of process stuff. So for me, getting up in front of people and talking is not a problem at all, because I talk all the time, pretty much non-stop, whether there's someone to hear me or not. But if you're not doing that, getting used to that speaking out loud, I guess, must be quite a thing if that's not something that you do. I mean, I can't fathom what that would be like to not talk out loud.
Since starting this, I talk to my dog. I'll tell him what I've got planned to do for today, and it becomes more of a kind of like a verbal to-do list that solidifies in your mind. Whereas if it's just in your head, it's quite effervescent, and it just sort of, they can disappear. But if you tell someone that you're going to do something, which is, again, it's another kind of what I did with voiceover. I was telling people that I was doing more voiceover work, this, that, and the other, and it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, instead of just sort of bouncing around in your head until it loses momentum. Just speaking out loud is becoming very helpful, even not doing it for voiceover, as it were. I'm just talking all the time now. It's hard to shut me up.
Yeah, me too. I'm never lonely. I have great conversations with myself.
And then someone comes in to join and you're thinking, oh, what are you talking about? And you think, oh no, don't worry, you won't get the jokes.
Well, you featured in numerous radio and TV ads, and you have a lot of corporate clients, huge clients: FedEx, Domino's, Bentley, Brand, Philips, MG, Kia, HP, Huawei, how do you pronounce that? And Spotify.
Huawei.
Wow, yeah. So, tell us, for the interest of people who are thinking of going into a voiceover career, how did you start picking up clients, and how did you start picking up such big clients?
Well, they never seem like they're big clients until they're there, if that makes sense, because they might be a big name, but it's because they're through third parties. So a lot of those names, I am lucky that I've voiced them, but they've been through third parties that have created e-learning, that have created e-learning courses, or been through other websites. So sorry, I've lost my train of thought. It's just a matter of spreading yourself and just keeping your eye out as soon as you see something, and just being open to every opportunity. Quick side note, a book that I read about 10 years ago by Danny Wallace is called Yes Man. And it was basically a story about this man going a month just saying yes to every question that he was answered, just to try and be more open. And it's something that sort of hit me hard. And I've just tried to be more open and accepting of every opportunity that arises, and you never know what's going to come out of it. And you start off doing one or two, I don't know, telephone messages for small companies, and then they'll come back and go, oh, we've got somebody for a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So just always be open to every opportunity, because you never know where it's going to lead. Is probably my number one bit of advice there.
Yeah, really good point, because we've had a few professionals, creative professionals, who have got quite illustrious careers. We've been lucky enough to interview them on the couch, And they pretty much all say the same thing, is that how they found their real road to success was almost by accident. And it was because they took an opportunity, which they didn't necessarily think very much about at the time, that then opened a series of doors, which actually catapulted them onto doing what they love and getting paid quite a decent amount of money for it. And you hear in business speak quite a lot, oh, you've got to say no more, don't put the pressure on yourself, you've got to learn to say no, it's fine to say no. But I think you have to kind of analyze that a little bit carefully, because yes, you can say no you obviously want to say no to the time wasting, and you want to say no to the energy vampires, and you want to say no to the things that are going to suck your joy and suck your resource. But you also do have to say yes a lot. You're absolutely right, to those unexpected opportunities that can suddenly springboard onto the most amazing things that you wouldn't have had access to if you hadn't done that one thing. Like Stephen Colgan, who got to be scriptwriter on the show QI, that
Amazing.
came about because he did a free talk at a literary festival. He's an author. He was at a literary festival. He did the talk. He did it for free. He then actually Stephen Fry was then in the audience. He then got talking to Stephen Fry, and because Stephen Colgan is a bit of a geek and knows lots of random facts about pretty much everything, Stephen Fry said, oh, so-and-so would like that. I forget the name of the producer of the show. You should have a chat. And he put them in touch, and then he became one of the QI gnomes.
Amazing. That's fantastic. And it's just, as you say, it's just being there and just being open to opportunities and prospective opportunities.
You just don't know where
as they come along. And then because sometimes they'll find you more than you'll find them, just as long as you're out there.
Absolutely.
You've also voiced numerous characters on lots of video games. So how did that opportunity arise? Who opened those doors?
That one was I started my voiceover journey on Fiverr.com, and I know it's not got a good reputation in the voiceover industry, in the creative industry, because people believe that it is a race to the bottom. But it's the difference. The way I see it as well is the difference between, I don't know, you've got the Premier League, which is the top voiceovers, like as top as you can go, and then you've got not even the second or third degree leagues, which is sort of Sunday afternoon footballers in Fiverr, especially when you're starting. And then you can then build up your experience from there, and then again the opportunities come in. You might be getting small character work here and there, and then and then you can just build up your experience, your quality as you're going, and then you can then pass on to better clients, either off the Fiverr platform from going through other websites that hold auditions, or that they'll find you. I think one of them I was found on, they found me on my website, actually. So, and that one I've been keeping in touch with, and we've been doing some fantastic projects. It doesn't mean that everyone on Fiverr is a completely different league to the top, the Premiership, because there are great, fantastic, amazing, industry leading voiceover artists on Fiverr now, because Fiverr has now introduced a pro system. So it's now those who are the best of the best can also post themselves on Fiverr and at their normal rates, and they're doing very well as well.
So what characters, give us a few of the names of the characters you play.
There is one off of a indie title that's coming out in the next few months, but he's called Axel Van Gibson, and he's a boss on one of the games. I think that's probably the best I can say. I might not even be able to say that. And then I've been in Warhammer 40k Mechanicus and Battle Sector, as well as a couple of the as some of the races, as some of the controllable factions, as it were, and then I've been recorded. Some of them are closer to my voice. Other ones, the Necrons, as it were, they're kind of like a cyber zombie. So I've recorded my lines, and then after that, they've then been processed to the point that it just sounds hauntingly electric.
You've been a god
then-
as well in one of these games. Weren't you Nick Magni in the role-playing video game
yes.
Dislyte?
Yes, sorry. Sorry, I'm making.
I'll ask you
I
that
can't
question
remember
again.
those. I'm having a good day at the moment. But yes, Nick Magni. He was a character in the online role-playing game Dislyte, and he's the construction god, as it were, I suppose. So he's very he's powerful. He's built of rock, and half built of rock, and he does quite powerful but slow moves. That one was quite fun as well.
What's your favorite sort of character? I mean, when people are in business, you always get told that you should pick a niche, whatever business sector you're in. Do you have a niche for these fantasy games, or do you do a range of things? And what is your favorite kind of voice to voice?
I find myself as I can't niche down. I don't think I've got the attention span, but I will always shoot from one thing to the other just to keep myself sort of, and not entertained, but sort of on my toes, as it were. But I love I've done small, maybe little mice or happy children's voices, and that's always been fun for me to do. But then I like doing the big, angry, villainous people too. Maybe some with a little bit more of an accent, but do you want to hate them? And yeah, just to get your teeth into villainous characters as well. It feels like you've got a bit more substance sometimes. But yeah, some of the protagonists I've done recently as well, they have been for more children's educational games, and they've been fantastic to voice. It cheers you up, so you can have a bit of a crappy morning, feel a bit down, but then you have to put on this happy voice. And after doing that for a half an hour, 45 minutes, you come out and you're going, oh, I can't even remember why I was angry. I'm just happy now because I've been bursting out happy energy for the last half hour.
That's what one of our creatives private members, Sarah Kay, says. She's a laughter ambassador, and she does laughter yoga every morning. And she says, if you're feeling down or you get up and you're a bit grumpy, got up on the wrong side of the bed, you do these laughter exercises and you're forcing it, and then eventually it becomes natural and it raises your spirits.
Yeah, she said you don't have to be happy to start laughing, but once you start, it quickly turns to be natural laughter. So yeah, check her out on YouTube. Serious Laughter, her channel is, and it is hilarious. 5 minutes of watching that and you'll feel so much better.
She is fantastic. I had a chat with her during the last sort of the meeting that we had at the start of the month, and it was the way that she said about your body doesn't know that your laughter is fake. So the more you laugh, your body's going, oh, wait a minute. No, I need to catch up here. And then it just lifts all your moods because you're making yourself laugh. So it's something that I've taken on recently as well.
Yeah, and when you're in that positive space, great stuff happens. It's kind of like the law of attraction, isn't it? If you get out of bed grumpy and you trip over the dog bowl and whatever, more stuff just happens. You think, oh, I've had such a bad day. I did this and then I did that, and I did, because you're in that kind of space. But if you can just take a couple of minutes out and go, lift your spirits, you can have a great day because you're in a great mood.
Exactly.
So obviously it puts you in a good mood when you do all these funny voices, but you must naturally have a wide range of voices.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've started, or that I did ever since I was young. I've just been messing around with accents and voices and things like that. Just, I don't know, through just entertaining myself. And maybe if I'm on my own, I will just start copying accents from TV, or, I mean, I've done that before. I've been out. I was once doing a show for an employer up in Scotland, and I was talking away to the man, and out of nowhere, I was just starting talking like he was, and I was like, "Oh, you're from here as well?" It's not really. I've now got to continue this conversation until you go away. And then as soon as he left, I was like, "Oh my God, what have I done? Oh no!" And I'm very bad for that kind of thing. Just accents sort of bleed into me, and sometimes they're funny. Other times I'll be mortified because I think, "Oh no, hopefully they don't think I'm taking the mickey."
Well, if you start the conversation in one voice, and by the time you've ended the conversation, you're sort of sounding exactly like them, But maybe we all like to hear the sound of our own voices. So maybe they come away thinking, "Oh, that Sean, he was amazing," because you sounded like them at the end of the conversation.
Well, one can hope, instead of just going, "He's just taking a mickey, isn't he?"
So, Sean, for anybody, and I think there's a funny story with the couch as well, isn't there? But for anybody who wants or is thinking about getting into the industry of voicing over, I mean, it's changing. Technology's coming along, and I know there's lots of conversations around AI and things like that. But if somebody was thinking about making a switch and going into the career of a voiceover artist, what would your top 3 tips be for anybody looking to have this as a career?
My top 3 tips. Number 1, never stop learning. Whether you're copying people that you've seen online, if you're doing research on, I mean, there are a couple of great websites, the VO Network, and I'm a member of Gravy for the Brain, which are run by quite big names in the industry as well, and they want to ensure that there is a level playing field in terms of rates, in terms of education, and in terms of quality that can be put out there, so you can then just constantly learn and improve yourself. And there is also there are resources out there for coaches and that sort of thing, and just make sure that you're constantly learning and trying to improve yourself. I keep on listening to things that I did last week, 2 weeks ago, and cringing because I would have done XYZ instead of doing what I did then. So the moment that you can listen back and go, "Yeah, that was perfect. I don't need to change at all," I think that's when you're going to start going backwards. So just always try and keep yourself learning. Number 2, it's not personal. And when you're sending off auditions, when you're trying to reach out to people, cold emails or whatever, they're not going to answer every one of your auditions. They're not going to answer every one of your emails. And it might not be personal. They might have 100 emails. They might have 100 auditions that they've got to get through. And they might have found their person that they're looking for at number 7 and you were number 12. Or they've just got an idea of the voice in their head and your voice just wasn't the one that they were looking for that project. So don't take it as an attack if you don't hear from people. And number 3 would probably be, if you're starting to get into this kind of thing, don't do it just looking at money. Do it for the fun. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy the sound of your voice, because when you first hear your own voice, because in your head your voice is going to sound deeper because you're vibrating through your jawbone. Your voice is vibrating through your jawbone. So you'll hear your voice back and go, "I sound like a mouse. What's wrong with me?" You've just got to get used to that sound, because that is what people can hear when you're talking to them. And once you've become numb to that, you can then play around with it a whole lot more and just, and just enjoy your craft, really.
I think that's a really good point, actually, because I chatter to myself, as I've said, all the time. And when I'm talking to myself, I quite like my voice, but when I hear it recorded back at me, it's like,
It's the same thing as when you see yourself in a mirror as opposed to on a selfie camera, because one is actually just a mirror image. So your right side is just reflected back on your right side, whereas in a selfie, it has been switched back. So they do both look quite different.
Mm.
And that's why you don't like seeing yourself on video as well. Sorry.
Yeah, because when you look in a mirror, you're not actually seeing yourself as other people see you.
Mm.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about a big point about why people probably don't like themselves on video, because they're seeing themselves the way that they're not used to seeing themselves when they look in a mirror.
There's something odd. It looks odd.
Not me. That's not me.
That uncanny valley.
Oh, brilliant. Right. Well, we have reached that point in the show, which is my second favorite. I can't say it's my favorite bit because I love chatting to our wonderful guests that we have. My second favorite bit of the show, I'm going to get out the Values Jam cards. My lovely, lovely Values Jam cards. My lovely silky Values Jam cards that I get quite gooey over. Okay. I've been shuffling them while you've been talking, and my son is homesick from school today. He's got tonsillitis again. So
Oh, no.
I was trying to keep him quiet. He just came bursting in. Mummy, can I have your phone? He wants to play games. Oh, I'm recording. Okie dokie. Now, I shall spread out my cards and run my finger along them and just shout stop. Oops.
Okay.
When you want me to
Stop.
pick a card. Right, let's have a look. So on these cards are just different values, and we will just ask you creatively about the value that's on the card. Ooh, okay. You have chosen gratitude.
Ooh.
So, Sean, gratitude. What does gratitude mean to you? What does it look, feel, and sound like?
Oh, that's a good one. Gratitude. Well, I can start off with sound, I suppose, but gratitude is there is a genuine there's a genuine sound in the voice when you're genuinely grateful for someone. You have a bit more of emphasis in your voice, and you can really hear that when someone will just go, "Oh, thank you," and you think, "Okay, that's fine," but and then if they come back to you and say, "Thank you, that was really good," it's just a little bit more in there that you can, I think your brain can chew on as well and go, "Oh yes, thank you, they're very grateful for that." So it's, yeah, if when you're trying to be grateful for someone, to someone as well, just really show that you're grateful instead of and just throwing it out there, really, because what you may feel it, you may feel that you're putting across the gratefulness, but the message might not be received as well. So just if you're grateful for something, don't ham it up, but just really show it, and it makes the world a difference.
Yeah, it does indeed. I think that. How do you think more gratitude could improve the world?
I think if people could see more gratitude, if people could see the gratitude that that is being put out there, then they might be more open to change, and they might be more open to trying these different things, because they can see they can see what is being spread around, and the positivity that can, and that's a great part of gratification is just passing on a massive amount of positivity. And we have got enough negativity in this world as it is. I mean, 26 days into 2023, and it's all over the news. So if you can just to show a little bit of gratification, even if it is someone leaving a door open for you, if you just go, "Thank you very much, have a good day," you never know what snowball that starts, that can then, the snowball of positivity that could then end up hitting someone else down the road, which passes on further down the line. So
Yeah,
a little bit more gratification is a little bit more positivity, and we all need a little bit more positivity.
absolutely. I totally.
How do people contact you, Sean? If they want
yes.
your dulcet tones or your various character voices on their adverts or on their phones or on their games, how do they contact you?
Yes, my website is seanantonyvo.com, and my email address is seanantonyvo@gmail.com. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter a little bit. I've not been on that recently, but all under Sean Antony VO.
Fantastic. And all those details, as of course, have been going across the screen, and they're going across the screen right now. So you can contact Sean for all your voiceover needs. Well, what can I say? It's been an absolute delight to have you on the couch, Sean. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to have a chat to actual other people than not just myself.
Oh, shame. You must get quite lonely in that little space of yours.
Oh no, that's fine. It holds one person, but it holds about 12 personalities. So we keep ourselves company.
Fantastic.
Excellent. And on that note, we must leave you. So until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.